Yes, yes, peace. Good evening and welcome to RockTrue BEATS. I'm your host, Chris Lyon, or better known in the music industry as Marley King. And we thank you for joining us as we rock truth to absolutely nothing at all. Rock Truth Beats is a cross-cultural response to a lack of choice in music today. Rock Truth Beats is designed to provide a sound message from theory to lab to life, while encouraging the return back to origin by way of relative keys, his kingdom principles. Rock True Beats seeks to inspire, enlighten, and highlight upcoming and established local and international kings and queens, musical artists of all characters, while promoting Black consciousness and awareness of who we are and to whom we belong. Peace, one love. How everybody feeling out there? It's a wonderful day this evening time here in Gary, Indiana, in an undisclosed location. The beautiful sunset right upon us, and a lick of ginger tea, along with my sombrero right here. We're gonna have a wonderful show today. We're gonna dive deep into some serious lo-fi business. For
Yes,
people who
sir.
don't understand, man, lo-fi. My brethren, how you feeling today?
I am pretty good, man. I'm about once this show get over with, I'm gonna go get me some dinner because it is on.
Been a long day
Yeah,
myself, and I
it's been
respect
on.
that completely. I'm on my way afterwards. Hey, I want to say, man, the last show that we had on before this one that had to do with science, man, always an interesting show, man. And for anybody
Yeah,
that's tuning in now or that shall be tuning in at a later point in time, hey, man, get in tune at the 6 o'clock hour, man. It's a lot of serious business, a lot of knowledge kicking around, man, and a lot of experiments that we could, take out of the laboratory in vitro setting and bring it into our home setting, man. So we could really
absolutely.
bring things to life and be able to see things from our own visual rather than somebody, speaking about it or reading it from a textbook, man. So get in tune
Right.
at that 6 o'clock hour, man. Rock True Science. You understand?
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Yes, sir, my friend.
Pretty dope. So you want to get into this lo-fi, man? I love me some lo-fi, man. I don't know about you, but I'll sit here all day. I usually have it playing in the background, like especially when I do my design work. So when
Oh,
somebody
respect.
when I get a fellow lo-fi, I'm like, man, y'all don't understand. I got some people
Hey,
out
this
here.
yes, sir. The spaceman right there kind of resembles you very, very similarly right now, my brethren. Yes, sir. You understand.
Yeah, he real dope. Let me see.
Absolutely, man. So let me ask you one time, my brethren. When did you first come across the lo-fi, man?
I was this actually Will Smith hit me onto it. The actor Will Smith. So
Wow.
I was watching his channel and just watching some of the things that he was putting out there, and then all of a sudden it was this Fresh Prince of Bel Air lo-fi. I was like, what is that? So I clicked on it, and it was just, and I'm thinking it's a show, right? And it's not. It was just music, kind of just playing over and over again with these, different visuals and whatnot. And and that's usually what I do. I usually have music going
Yeah,
on
man.
when I'm like designing, when I'm just watching if I'm just working on some graphic designs and whatnot. And so that hit me too. And then I started finding all kind of different other people. I mean, this is relatively new. I never knew who this guy was. Who is
New artist for myself as well.
Okay, yeah. So I know, and to be completely honest, it's like an entire genre on YouTube now. So I'm starting to get into it a lot more than I was. At first I was just watching the same video over and over again because I just thought that was the only one out there. But then I started finding like new ones, and I was like, oh, that's dope. So yeah.
Overstood, man. Lo-fi has always held a special place in my life since around 2016 when it really started popping off. I was making my transition from Miami, Florida to California to
Okay.
Washington State, then out to Alaska. You see, I was in Alaska from 2016 right into 2017, right there, man.
Oh
And
wow.
lo-fi, absolutely, man. Life takes you many places, man. And sometimes
Yeah.
when doors open, it doesn't matter what maybe the monetary compensation is, but it's more so the spiritual aspect of it, man. I went out to Alaska to work, but at the same time, man, I was on a vision quest almost, to find
Okay.
myself, man, to really dive deep inside the soul. And Alaska
Right.
is just, what they say, the final frontier, man. you know, what else is beyond Alaska? You know, you're really starting to head into a whole nother world, a whole nother realm. And it was something very deep when I was playing this lo-fi, man. And the vibration or the nostalgia that it really brought to me, that real old feeling. You know, when we think about lo-fi, we think about the you know, the record spinning with the when the needle drop on it and it got that static going on in the background, or it has that underwater feeling to it. You know, with some serious pressure like that, and something like that, you know, just like music, just like all genres of music, they touch you in a specific way, you know. It's very deep like that, and lo-fi just happened to be one of those ones that really bring that sense of peace of mind and put you in that creative headspace, you know. So it's something so serious, and I could definitely relate to you on your end of how it really invokes that creative aspect of your mind. You understand?
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Lo-fi, man, lo-fi. So what we got in tune with this cat today? I believe his name is Spaceman Beats.
Yeah, Spaceman Beats. Hold on,
now, you said this is a newer artist for yourself, huh?
It's new to me. I didn't know nothing about this guy, you know. So, you know, y'all hipping me to something new. I like it.
Absolutely. Check out a quick piece here.
Yeah, I like the symbolism too, man.
Oh my goodness, man! You know the artistry that goes along with these, you know, these different lo-fi, I guess, YouTube channels, you want to say?
Yeah.
It's really got that serious anime vibe to it, you know?
Yeah.
The record Screech, Selena. Yes, man. Oh yeah, man. Yes, sir. Lo-fi, man. Keep it in rotation now.
Yeah, right.
That's deep right there, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, just what I was listening to it earlier, and I was just like, this his use of vocals on this, like he's not trying too hard. He's just allowing the vocals to kind of just, you know, be part of the background almost. And but you they're strong, they're real strong too. Yeah. And I love that little drop there.
Yes. Watch out now. Watch out.
Okay, key change. I like that.
Yeah, man.
Is it harmonized? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I like the way that he letting that guitar like live all by itself. Yeah.
Yes, man. Yes.
I gotta get my Wi-Fi.
DP, my brother. Hey, brother, let me get this on pause real quick, man. Let's pause this up real quick one time. Cause that's really deep right there, man. It's really deep, the vibe that it invokes, man.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I wanna take us on a little journey real quick, man. Okay. I want to take us on a little journey, man, to the origins of lo-fi, man. Let me ask you, my brethren. I know this is a relatively new genre to yourself, but are you familiar with the term lo-fi? Do you know what that particular acronym per se stands for?
I was going to ask you. I figured you knew.
Hey man, watch out, watch out. So check it out, man. So when we talk about lo-fi, man, it's actually a short word or an acronym for the word fidelity, man. Okay,
Okay.
and when we think of low fidelity, we want to think back to the earliest of times of music, man, when people really didn't have the funds to jump in these huge recording studios with these massive pieces of equipment, or these digital audio workstations that we're using nowadays, like
Yeah.
the Akai MPCs or the MPKs and things like that. Um,
Right.
so we dive back into the deep past, man. We even talk about maybe like the 20s and the 30s when music started to really get deep, coming from the deep south, as it migrated up toward the north here.
Right.
Um, and we think about the sound of that, man. And the sound, it just has a very analogish sound. You know what I mean by analog?
Yeah. There's and no, go ahead. You know what? Give me a little bit on that because I'm a little leery on that one.
Most definitely, man. When we think about the analog sound, we think, about it not having so much. I guess everything being quantized nowadays, how everything is
Right.
very futuristic or electronic nowadays, where the
Yeah.
sound sounds very precise, the analog sound gives us a lot more of the natural sound per se, or the yeah, man, respect, Mary. I'm always getting distracted by Mary jumping in the comments down there, man. You always showing love, man. Respect, respect. But nonetheless, we're thinking about analog being the more natural sound of things, man. It's very basic. There's not so much effects put on the different instruments. It is what it is, man. That's the
Right.
natural sound into these old school recording devices. And these sounds can be achieved nowadays, but we don't see a lot of people taking advantage of that stuff, just because of the evolution of music. If we watch how music has evolved throughout the ages as well, as soon as we started hitting um, well, actually, let's jump right there. Since we're climbing the ladder here, let's jump right there. We're gonna talk about into the 90s, man. And this is where we hear a lot of our lo-fi sounds coming from, man. Think about all the hip hop coming out of the
Right.
Bronx and Brooklyn, out of New York. And then we got the house
Right.
scene coming out. Then we got the West Coast hip hop coming about. Think about those sounds when you play a track from back then. If you play something like a Big Pun, or maybe somebody knows, maybe somebody more relevant to the crowd nowadays, maybe something like Big,
Mhm.
Notorious Big, or people from Mobb Deep. I guess we could talk about things like that in that
Yeah.
particular era of Brooklyn and the Bronx right there in New York. And we start to see how all this sound sounded like it was being recorded out of the basement.
Right.
Public Enemy, that's coming from the 80s going into the 90s. But Public Enemy, that's another one where you can hear all these sounds. And where are these sounds coming from, man? So that's what I'm going to dive into real quick too.
Right.
These sounds are all being built off of samples, and that's what hip hop was originally derived or created from, was from sampling. And sampling, the old school records like the James Brown, everything's on the one, man. Everything is just that up tempo, fast pace on the one. This is when James Brown had somebody like Bootsy Collins with him, before Bootsy
Yeah.
left and went and joined George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, Bootsy and the Rubber Band and all them. But nonetheless, lo-fi really feeds into that early 90s vibe, man. I guess we don't really classify it as that because it is hip hop. I guess lo-fi would be more so considered something that is, low fidelity, a very analogish sound. And maybe the lyrics aren't so much present in the track. If they are, maybe they're backing vocals or they're
Yeah.
behind the track per se. It's not so upfront like we hear nowadays. Everybody's on the mic and their voice is so projected toward the front.
Right.
Everything is kind of hidden in the track a little bit. And I guess the beat and the distortion, all these analogish sounds are really what go ahead and invigorate us and give us that sound and that feeling that it arises, that feeling of nostalgia. I think that's the best word to describe it, is that feeling of nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is that because I mean I've been listening to music since a little kid, right? One of my
Yes,
favorite
sir.
songs is still Sir Mix-a-Lot. I like Big Butts like that a
Yes,
lot.
sir, man.
So
Watch
like
out, man.
I go back to that, right? But I remember that it was just more than just liking that song. It was more of liking the way it sound, like that.
Absolutely.
Just hearing that track and hearing those beats hit. It was just like something about that, and then like you said, you brought up the South. Like the South got its own sound altogether.
Man, all
And
together.
I was born in New Orleans. So when
Oh,
it comes
respect, my brother. Respect.
yeah, so when it comes to like trumpets and horns and
Yes.
guitars and stuff like that, especially when you put a 808 track on it, it just sounds so just mind blowing, you know. And you're sitting there, you're like, man, who put this track together? But you realize, you know, sometimes like I'm a big fan of band music, right? A lot of people
Oh,
not,
absolutely.
you know, and I love hearing the imperfections in music, like hearing
Absolutely.
the when somebody running out of breath, when they trying to blow that trumpet, but they can't
Yes,
quite get that
man.
note out and it squeaks a little bit. That's real music, man. That's real music,
Surely
man.
is, man.
Yeah, that's
Authentic,
real
man.
lo-fi.
That's what I could dig everything you said right there. It resonates so well. And when we think about that live sound, we think about that live hi hat going, man. You know, it just sounds like it
Yeah,
reverberates. That reverb that we hear us using in these digital workstations during production and engineering nowadays. You know, that's that reverb effect that people put on there, where everything sounds wide open, like we're in a
right.
concert hall or we're in the hallway or we're in a room. You know, that our voice just projects, you know, or the instrument just projects off in all four corners in all directions right there. It's something
Mhm.
serious. And I really love that hi-hat, man. I love that snare. I love the kick. I love the guitar. I love the unquantified. We're gonna just throw in a makeshift word right here. The unquantified, we're just gonna say the music not being quantized, man. You know, when things are
Yeah,
quantized, it's brought up to pace. It sounds more digital or more computerized. And we think back to more lo-fi artists. I guess maybe some lo-fi artists that's more relevant to a lot of folks of the early 2000s. People like Madlib and Jay Dilla. You know,
yeah,
a couple of
yeah,
West Coast cats right there, man. Those were the first, at least in my perspective, from what I've seen. Those were the first producers to actually touch the concept of lo-fi, man, you know, and
right.
take those beats and really start making them where they're not being quantized, and they're able to just be a little offset, a couple of instruments maybe offset in there, so it's not on beat every single second, you know. And it's really deep how they went ahead and utilized those lo-fi sounds by taking those samples. Once again, like I said, the origins of hip hop coming from those old samples like the James Browns or the different what do we want to call them, doo-wop groups, man, like maybe the Funkadelics or the Parliaments, and people
Right.
like the OJs or the Spinners, you know, these
Yeah.
these groups like so, man. And when we see us sampling those today, we find ourselves really touching back to the origins of hip hop, and that's the way that
Yeah.
I see hip hop going back to. You know, we got a lot of what I like to call rap artists or recording artists pretending. You see what I'm saying
Right.
nowadays?
Yeah.
And there's really no awareness in the booth, man, and there's lack of creativeness or artistry. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their era. Each generation has their era, and a different
Yeah.
sound comes along with it, man. But the the level of mindfulness in the music today is totally different, and you can't. I guess people who listen to lo-fi, they don't necessarily, even the artists that jump on different lo-fi beats and stuff like that. You won't find somebody like a Two Chains or a
Right.
Kodak Black, and
Right.
all these other what I like to call recording artists pretending, or rap artists, man. You know,
Right.
it's you won't ever find those on lo-fi beats. And why is that, man? I think it's because of that feeling that the lo-fi
Right.
sound
Yeah.
invokes in us, man. You
Yeah.
know, when I
Yeah.
like you were saying earlier, man. You know, when we listen to lo-fi, it really puts us in that different type of headspace. We want to get
Yeah.
creative,
Most
man. It brings
certainly.
us that sense of peace, man.
Right.
Understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something.
And
It's
and
something.
and
So go ahead.
that's what people fail to realize about, mainstream music. It's not meant to put you in a creative space. It's meant to put you in this energy. It's got a different energy altogether. So it's meant to like pump you up. It's meant to make you, emotional. It's meant to motivate you and stuff like that. Lo-fi though, that's meant for your mental. It's meant for you to calm down and really get your inspiration, and allow it to flow through that moment, because you're not concentrating on the music, you're not concentrating on the lyrics, ain't no bass in the background like hitting you upside the head, it's none of that. It's just that static. And because what the tripped out thing is, like I've noticed
What
that
do
a
you say?
lot of lo-fi has the static in the background, but that's the white noise that we are used to. When the room is quiet, it's white noise that we used to. So it makes it a very calm experience. So it's a great thing to have, man.
That is deep right there, man. I love how you bring up the white noise example right there, man, because it's something that's so deep, man. Even studies that are done on the effects of white noise on somebody, especially somebody that may be out of tune, man. You know, the results are out of this world, man. It really just shakes up somebody's vibration. Most people, they couldn't sit in a room where the TV is on static all the time, you know?
Right.
And to me, that is almost equivalent. I'm talking about you know, that white noise static sound. It's almost equivalent to when we're coming into the world, man, through the womb during birth. You know, this is we've been hearing almost a lo-fi sound our entire during the entire time, the 9 months that we're in the womb before we come into existence, man. And then we're brought into all this chaos, into all this chaoticness, into this, you know, it's such a traumatic experience for a child to come into the world, man. And I think it's weird that we jumping into a conversation using this as a reference, but it's also relevant, man. But nonetheless, when we think about the difference from being born in a hospital room to being born, you know, having a natural home birth or underwater birth, man, when we're coming out of the womb and we're coming into that water, we're engulfed by the body of water, and that itself, if you could imagine yourself going underwater, everything picks up that lo-fi sound in a sense. If somebody's talking to you, it sounds very underwater-ish or distorted, you know? And it's so deep, man. And I feel like something like that, I think if we take a little more time to do some research ourselves, I think we could find some very deep connections between all three of those, from being born in hospital to underwater birth, all connecting back to lo-fi or that static sound, you know, from that needle drop. Something serious, my brethren.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yes, man. You already know.
And I like the way that you put that, the needle drop. Like, people don't realize that's part of the sound, right?
Yeah,
that's part of the record itself. Putting that needle on. Like, I don't have a record player right now, but my brother does. And whenever I'm over in his house, he drops that needle, and that's part of the song itself. At that moment, you because now you hear that and you like, all right, what am I about to hear? You know
what time it is.
You know,
you
know what that moment is about to feel like, and and then the track comes on, and you sit there, and then even when you get to the end of the song, if you ever make it to the end of the song, right? Because I don't know about you, but old school records take forever. Like, I listen to
7-8 minutes long, 10 minutes long now.
I kid you not. I was listening on my tablet at home. I was listening to some James Brown, right? And
respect.
I'm just doing my graphic design thing, and I look over, and you know how the slider was like, you know, it's on there. It was still at the beginning of the song. It was like, I've been listening for like almost an hour. I'm like, how long?
Oh, my soul.
Like, dude,
it's so crazy, man.
They didn't make songs back then. They made albums back then, dude. That was bananas. Man. And but it wasn't like the same thing. It was just like, it was something different. Even though he kept saying the same words over and over again, it was something different about every time he said it. You know, and it just blew me away. I was just like, wow, these cats are old school.
That's so deep like that, man. You know, and for them songs to stretch on like that and still have longevity, meaning that they're even relevant today. You still hear people listening to those. You still hear people sampling. You know, there's so many different samples come out of that stretch of the song right there, you know, whereas opposed to maybe the beginning of a song has more so a lot of instruments coming in and then maybe some people talking or some vocals over it. You could really a lot of different samples from the end of these tracks, and I think that's what makes them so deep as well. For me, when I hear a track like that, man, I just find myself in the groove, man. You know, 7-8 minutes long. I'm like, my goodness, I'm engulfed in the spirit of the music. That's how powerful it is, man. You know. Same with the lo-fi as well. You know, a lot of lo-fi beats I see, I wish they could be longer than they are. You know, a lot of them that I see them being like a minute 40, a minute 50 seconds long. But then you have artists like Nujabes. You ever heard of Nujabes?
Nah, I'm gonna have to check him out.
Oh man, you have to check him out, man. He's probably one of my favorite lo-fi artists, and he's a real pioneer when it comes to the lo-fi, man. Rest his soul, man. He passed away back in 2010, man. I think it was like 30 34 at the time or so, man, something around that age, but died in a tragic car accident out in his native parts of Japan. But very introverted individual, man, and he owned a lot of different record shops out in, yeah, man, you already know, MC Dope, man, respect.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he owned a lot of record shops out in Japan at the time, and Japan has always been a place where it in the States, you know, as a mainstream artist, they get a lot of love out in Japan, especially hip hop, man. Okay, since we're talking about New Jays, man, let's not forget to mention one of the first times in hip hop that we started to hear some actual lo-fi, and I'm talking about bringing samples from old movies. You know, like a lot of kung fu movies back in the day. You think about them analog sounds once again. We start thinking about the karate chops or the kicks or the sound effects from something getting knocked over or somebody falling over, or even just the people talking. It's a very analogish sound once. But we hear somebody in the 90s from the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start sampling all this, and it first happened, at least to my knowledge, by the RZA when he jumped up when he created the album 36 Chambers of Death.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of kung fu samples and movie samples in there. That's where that lo-fi sound really became prevalent. I guess it was exposed to, I guess the rest of the world was exposed to it through that particular channel right there from the Wu-Tang, incorporating all of those, man. And to me, that's very deep. I find myself looking for samples nowadays when I'm in the lab, you know, depending on the type of vibe that I'm in. I look for different samples from different movies, especially the older movies. I've always been a fan of black and white movies, man. To me, like I said, it just brings that feeling of nostalgia up and about again, just like this lo-fi sound does as well. You know, we think of everything nowadays as a hi-fi sound or a high frequency, man. You know what I'm saying? Everything is very electronic. It's very straightforward. It's powerful to the ears. You really hear them heavy bass kicks. Whereas opposed to the lo-fi, like you said, man, you know, them bass kicks aren't overpowering to where it's knocking your head off, man. You know, everything is very mellow and it invokes that mood, you know. It's something so deep. Music in general, man. When I think of music and it affects that it has on us and our daily aspirations, you know, like you mentioned earlier, the motivation that it brings about if we listen to a particular song or instrumental in the morning time, you know, it could really pinpoint the direction that our day is going to head, or it can even come at a time during our day where we may be lacking some energy, or we're feeling down, or we're in a crazy headspace from all the chaos going on. Things can really bring us back to level, or give us that, you know, that feel of, hey man, let's keep on fighting, man. Live to fight another day. Come on now. You know, it's something heavy like that. Music has always had an effect on me since I became, I guess, aware of it or conscious of it. You know, I never really was conscious of how the music was making me feel, you know, until maybe, like I said, right around 2014, 2015, I was just leaving Miami, Florida. I was making music back then, but the sounds were a lot different. The sounds were more so, like I said, high frequency. And when I was living in Miami, Florida, the influence was totally different. You know, the influence was totally different living in Miami, Florida. You know, you had a lot of street influence. You had a lot of wicked influence, I'd rather say. I guess the word wicked kind of envelops all of that into one, but a lot of wicked influence down there, man. And I think that just happened to be from the environment and how it's created, how there really isn't any, I guess I don't want to take credit away from the artist, man, because everybody's entitled to write about what they want to write. But as artists, we should pay attention to the message that we're sending, man. You know, that goes from all levels. You know, if you do graphic artists, I think I mentioned her on last week's show as well. There's a lady named Maria I forgot her name, man. I was supposed to look this up, but it starts with an A, man. She's a very famous artist, man, and mingles with a lot of celebrities. But she does these wicked paintings, man, of some very gory and gruesome scenes. But she uses human blood and semen and stuff like that, man. It's sick and it's wicked and twisted like that. It's almost like I shouldn't say it's almost like it's conjuring, you know, some type of energy or some type of spirit like that. If you get a chance, check her out, you know, from an artist to an artist, check her out and see what I'm talking about. Her name is Maria, and it starts with an A. If you type ABR, Maria ABR, she's going to pop up as one of the top searches, man. There's a lot of controversial works of art that she's created, and we see a lot of people in positions of power that tend to flock around this woman, man. And there's many other artists out there like that. that happen to be in positions of power to influence the masses like that. But nonetheless, there's just a lot of power behind whether it's visual art or audio art as well, man. And as artists, we need to pay attention to the message that we're sending, because when we're putting a message out there visually or audibly to the virgin mind, and I'm saying the virgin mind is maybe a youth that's coming up, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, before we start, even though nowadays we start to see the youth, going through puberty at younger and younger ages each year, so it's crazy. I'm kind of jumping off topic on that, but nonetheless, it's important to put that in there so everybody sees how this is affecting as a whole, man. Yeah. As artists, man, we need to be very mindful of what's going on, man. There's virgin minds listening to this stuff, man, and everybody wants to make an excuse as to, oh, they're just being entertainers, they're doing their things. Okay, if that's the case, man, then why do we got young folks acting this stuff out, man? How come back when I was in my youth, when I was in my teens, going into my early years of adulthood, how come I was influenced like that by the music? I didn't have the guidance that maybe a lot of folks have from the mother or the father figures or the family and such like that. The guidance was the streets, and the streets and the music and the entertainment, in a sense. This stuff had a powerful effect on me, man. And when I look back into that time of my life, it really makes me, sometimes it's hard to fathom, how, as conscious as I am now, as aware as I am now of myself and the world around me, how was I not in tune back then, to know that the music that was talking all of this wickedness, how to kill your communities, to serve death to your family members or somebody else's family members, to call women out of the names, to call queens bees, and call our brethren, the N-word and stuff like this, man, or disrespecting folks out of line, man. To me, it was just, I can't even believe that back then I was unconscious and not able to peep game that I was being influenced like that. But reflecting on that now, it lets me know that I can communicate this message to the other generations coming up. Hopefully I can capture them or distract them before this industry gets them. And I think all of us has to do that as well, man. Like I said, you being an artist as well, and any other artists out there, even the ones that's listening, we should be mindful of all of this, man. Take time to carefully shape and mold your work of art, man. To write something, man, if you're going to be creative with it, be creative, but do it in all the righteous ways, man. There's no need to be wicked about it. Overstand the power, overstand word sound power, and then overstand the influence from the beat or the frequency in general, man, because everything has been out of tune since the early 1950s, man. When we think about David Rockefeller, man, and I think it was General Electric, or I forget the exact name of the company that was a part of the radio transmissions and the broadcasting systems back then. But nonetheless, they changed that frequency from 432 hertz, which is the natural frequency, or roughly the natural frequency of Earth's resonance, to 440 hertz, or a little bit above, which is an unnatural frequency. And how do we know this is unnatural? Because we see the effect on crystalline water structures, man. We take a look at water and see how these particular frequencies can create either a beautiful snowflake-like pattern, very intricate, very sharp edges, very elegant, or how it can create with an unnatural frequency, how it can create a sense of distortion. And we think about ourselves once again, our bodies being composed of roughly 65, 70% water once we reach adulthood, but even more when we're in adolescence, when we're in our teen years, or even younger than that, when we're exposed to these different frequencies, man. Just think about how their bodies are composed of roughly 75 to 80% water, and the effect on this sound on water. So being like ourselves, our bodies being composed of that much, it's to me, it's uncanny not to be able to see how the effect that frequency has on water, that it reflects on us as well, man. It's something that's so powerful, man. We don't necessarily have to see everything, man. Not everything has to be visual, but we have to have that understanding, man. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's something very powerful, and music is one of those things that has always had an influential factor in my life, and I see it projected on many other stages of youth throughout development in this world and abroad, man. I went to Jamaica last year. I was out in Montego Bay, out in St. James Parish, and I seen, yeah, I had some family out there, and I went up into the barrio, man, into the parish, and I seen, all of these folks down here, man, that's younger than 18, man. Everybody's claiming 300, like Chief Keef and Old Block and Inglewood and
Okay.
this, that, and the other. And I said, how does this influence reach these folks like that and have such a profound impact, man?
Right.
And it's because that's what was being presented to them. They don't have the luxury to always go onto the internet and be put onto different artists, like we're listening to lo-fi or vaporwave, or maybe even a more conscious group of artists from all different genres. They're kind of influenced by the mainstream down there, what's played on the radio station, what's being shown on the television. It's something serious. But to see how the music or the frequency had a wicked effect on these youth and how it influenced the killings and stuff down there,
Yeah.
it was such an eye opener for myself. I already had my eyes open, but it just opened up even wider when I saw that in a foreign land. Somewhere
Yeah.
that's abroad rather than near. So it's something very deep, man.
Wow.
The effect of music on people, man, worldwide, and I think it's very important to get out there and travel, because otherwise we be confined to the box, or just confined to the perception that the whole world is shaped and molded just how it is wherever you're at or where I'm at here in Gary, Indiana. You see?
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
something serious, man.
Yeah.
Traveling,
And that's the
you
tripped
know?
out thing. People want to, they always, they feel they're so universal centric, that they're at the
Man,
center of this universe, and that reality of is this. No, you're not the center of the universe. You just a pebble, and then if you look at how the earth is positioned, it's just a pebble. It's so there's no way that you can just want everything for yourself and think that you deserve all the attention. No. And here's the point about that. Music will do that to you. Music will actually cause you to think that you are self-centered, that nothing else matters in this world. It's just you. It'll affect your heart, like you said. That negative tone, when it enters into your earlobe and enters into your mind gate and enters through your ear gate and then into your heart, it affects your desires, because it's starting to affect what you want, what you have desire to do in life. If you listen to, and there's nothing against like metal, like I love metal, right? I'll listen to metal bands all the time, but I do my best not to allow it to affect my mindset. I do my best not to let
wise man,
it.
wise
Yeah,
man, you are.
but see, that's music all across the board. So not just metal, but
True.
rap music, hip hop music, Christian music. You don't get it twisted.
Absolutely.
All Christian music is not per se about the Bible. It can be,
Absolutely.
it can have some wickedness in there. You would not know, because it's covered up
Man.
by these intense drums, and it's covered up by this singing. But there's some wickedness that can be involved, and you got to be careful with what you're listening to and what you're allowing into your heart, because it's your heart that has the desire to do the things that you do in life. And that's what God comes to cleanse. He comes to cleanse our heart, not our mind, but our heart, the desire of things that we have that we want to go and do. And you got to be very, very, very careful with what you allow in, because it's not what you consume that defiles the body. It's what you put out that defiles it.
Oh man, brethren, I think we just hit him heavy with all of that. That deeper
Just
knowledge
a
we
little
done dropped
heavy.
on some folks, man.
Just a
Just a
little
little
heavy.
piece. Like you say, the earth, man, just a little pebble. We drop a little pebble on you now.
Yeah, man. And people just don't realize that everything that you take in is what you're bound to spit back out. Who you are determines. I mean, what your environment is determines how you act in it. If you live in an impoverished city and all around you is decay, then that's how you're gonna react to the world.
Man.
And people don't realize, if you don't change your environment, you're going to end up in your environment. You're going to end up your environment. You're going to become part of it. So you got to start learning how to get out and learn about different things, learn about different cultures, learn about different people, learn about what other people go through, so that you can understand that you're not the only one that's struggling, and that there's different struggles. There's different levels of being poor. There's different levels of being rich. There's dude, did you know that there's different levels of being rich? There are rich people. I'm not kidding. When I saw this, it tripped me out. There are rich people that look
Come
at
on now.
like they're not as rich as me. So I don't want to see them. Like they look at other rich people like they're not as rich as me. So I'm not going to even entertain them. Like, do you know how that blew my mind when I saw this in the real world? I'm sitting there like, y'all live in the same neighborhood, right across from the street from each other, and y'all won't talk to each other because one person made a little bit more money than you did. Like that's insane to me. That is insane. But this is what
my goodness.
That's what the Bible teaches, that people don't want to even love their neighbor because of something simple like this, because somebody made more money than the other one. You know, and
so wicked, man.
So wicked. It has no reason to be that way. But this is the world that we live in, and this is the environment that these people have put themselves in, and therefore they have become their environment. And they lose so much when they gain so little. But for them they've gained everything, but they've lost their soul, and they don't know how to regain it. And that's what these channels are all about. That's what these interactions are all about, to help them regain some sanity, to help them regain some peace, to help them regain the frame of mind that they're supposed to be in, which is to be giving, not taking, you know. So
oh my goodness, man. That was deep, Bob Regin. Hey, you spitting straight facts right there, man. Everybody should open up their ears to that, man, and be in tune to what's going on in this world around you, man. You know, not everything is what it appears to be, man. And all of the sounds that we hear, all of the sounds that we create, the messages that we put out there, the art that we create that portrays something deeper that's coming out from inside of us, man. It's such a heavy thing, man. And for us to be able to come on a show like this and be able to expose things like that and to bring these to the forefront of people's attention, I think, you know, channels like RockTrue right here, man, is going to be something to reckon with, man, here in the very near future, if it isn't already, because I know we're making some noise around the neighborhood, man, and abroad as well, you know.
A little noise.
Hey, man. Sometimes sometimes it has to be, you know, the people like us to come and shake it up, man, to speak on the subjects that nobody talks about, man. Over here talking about music and sound theory this entire time for this 1 hour block, and you don't see many other podcasts talking about this, man. You know, nobody wants to acknowledge this, man. Where are the artists right now that's creating this wicked music, or where's the celebrities with these millions of dollars that have all this immense amount of fame that could do this and do that? You know, where are they on podcasts or even speaking up out in the public about these things like that, man? We know who's calling the shots, man. We know who's controlling the music industries and the record labels, man. You know, so we're gonna bring that to the forefront of people's attentions, man, so that we can get to the root of the problem here, man. You know, that we can see that artists are being created, man. You know, people aren't coming in as artists, man. A lot of these artists out of Chicago, they're not getting put on. Excuse me, they're not coming into the game with these pockets full of monies and stuff like that. Where do you think they're getting that stuff from, man? You know, they're being given all this stuff. This is what's being given to them to portray an image that has been conjured for them. You know, this is how the music industry works, man. The all-seeing eye, as people say. You know, they watch from all different angles, man. And when they see an upcoming artist, man, somebody that's gaining some notoriety, whether or not they're spitting some real spit, or they're, you know, talking some jargon and some trash, man. Everybody sees this, man, and they can see potentials in people to be created or manipulated to portray what they want to be portrayed to the masses. This is how that mind control comes about, man. Music is very powerful when it comes to that, man. We see many artists, especially on the drill scene, when drill music came about. We started seeing the artists like Chief Keef and the Lil Reese, and now we got people like FBG Duck and the King Von, and everybody want to try to glorify or make excuses for these cats. We gotta stop making excuses for that, because these cats are out here committing crimes against humanity, man. You know, how are you gonna go out there and tell another black person to kill another black person, man? You know, they're not being given the guns to go kill somebody else, man, or another culture. They're being given the guns to destroy their own peoples, man. This is a systematic plan that's been in motion for a long time. People have to realize this, man. It's something that's so deep, man. And to continue to glorify artists like this, and to continue to glorify all the wickedness on the internet. We live in the day and age of the internet or technology, where we have screens in front of us 24/7, and people are so hyper influenced by what they're seeing, whether or not it's on YouTube or Instagram. If I went on Instagram talking, some righteousness like this, man, I get a couple views. But if I go on there filming somebody, a brother beating down another brother or shooting another brother in the street,
Yep.
they're gonna get 1,000 or 1,000,000 views on there, and it's gonna go viral. And then next thing you know, you got somebody else who should not have $1,000,000 in their hands or this much notoriety in their hands, getting all of that. Now they've become a public influencer to the crimes against humanity, man. It's something serious. Why are we going to continue to make music about serving drugs in our community? We already live in it. We already going through it. So why do we want to glorify that, man, for the next generation, man? And people think that this is not affecting the next generation, man. I see adults, man, 40, 50, 60 years old, man, that I don't know if they just became a product of their surroundings or their environment, but they're jamming to this stuff, man. They're the ones riding around when they should be riding around jamming some OJs, man, or some Curtis Mayfield, with a diamond in the back and the sunroof drop. You feel me? It's something serious, man. Absolutely, man. And with that being said, man, we need to be mindful, and I'm fortunate to have a platform like this to where we can speak freely about this, because a lot of people, they may get shut down or censored for speaking like this. But we always need to have a platform, man, to have an outlet to be able to release this, man, and to be able to showcase it and to be able to tell people about the things that's not being spoken about, man. It's very important, man. I think I heard on the last show, on the science show, I believe it was, the hour before this, they was talking about the educational system, man, and how it's really not, meant for certain individuals, man, and how it's not teaching you to be who you want to be, man. It's teaching you to be a product of the system, man. So when you get out, man, you go be a robot, man, and walk with the rest of the sheep like that. And we can't let that happen, man. If we're gonna send our children to school, man, we have to be mindful of this, and we have to be able to, like you said, man, be able to tune it out. If we're gonna listen to some heavy metal or some rock music, we need to be able to not let that affect us. Have that strong mind, and it comes with the music too. To all the parents out there listening, man, each one teach one, man. When you got your child out here listening to Power 92 or WGCI, and they're banging all of this trap music and drill music and this, that, and the other, all this stuff, and then you got you got folks like Cardi B and things like that, and you got these 4, 5, 6-year-old girls, shaking their thing, man. I'm like, what's going on out here? Where is the stoppage to this? Where are the adults, man? Because when I was growing up, I'm 28, man. I was born in 1992. When I was coming up, there was none of that, man. If you got caught doing something like that, hey, you got checked, man. You got put in your place. Where are the parents nowadays, man? It's so tough that we got children raising children, but I still have to say it. Where are the parents at, man? It obviously how they, for example, with racism, how they say racism is not born into somebody. It starts in the household, because you become a product of your surrounding, man. You become a product of what you're taught. When you have the virgin mind and somebody's telling you, hey, don't like this man because he looks like this, or he has hair like that, or don't like this man because he's got this, that, and the other. This is where all of that stuff is taught, man. And if we're teaching people that it's okay to listen to music that's telling you to kill your brother or to kill your homeboy across the road, man, or go, slap that, and all these queens in this world out there names, what do we expect our youth, to get into? What do we expect to come from that, man? Don't let the music and don't let the entertainment raise your children, man. Be the responsible one and uphold that, man. Don't let that stuff get to you, nor to your seed, man, nor to the youth that's up and coming, man, because we're in a spiritual war right here. We're down there in a sound war right now. It's a cosmic war, man. It's a sound war, man. It's a war of sounds right now. For artists like us, like I said, when you told me that you was an artist and that you created a lot of graphic art, it made me look at you as a warrior in the battle. And that's why I had to put out that name of that wicked artist, Maria A, we'll call her. Because it's like you're in a battle against her, man. The art that you're creating, it really has such a deep purpose and meaning behind it. And hers does too, but on a wicked level. So it's that good versus evil once again, man. It's that clash, man. And us in the music industry as well, man. Somebody like myself may not get a lot of radio play, but it's important as an independent artist to find different avenues to get that music out there, because this stuff is going to reach somebody. And when it reaches that one person, it's going to be like the domino effect. It's going to reach two, then like the Fibonacci sequence, man, and just multiply into infinity, It has to start somewhere, and it starts with you and I, and it starts within the household, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Went on a little rant there, but give thanks for the year.
You good, man. You good, man. You good. Man, you want to let's you know what? Let's go ahead and start to play this track a little bit more, man. I'm intrigued to
Let's
hear
dive a little
bit
deeper,
more.
my brethren.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, like it already now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I like that he took the white noise out. Yeah.
You see?
And he's just playing with it. He's back and forth with it. Yeah.
Oh man, that plays with my mind, I tell you.
Yeah.
Just like that one. I'm not even like that one. Just like that one. I'm not even like that one anymore.
Once again, we hear the samples in there too, man. I don't know where these samples are coming from, but we hear those individual sound bites in there. Them samples coming from these older, I don't know what we want to call it, older movies or clips. I don't know where they come from, but nonetheless, deep like that.
And it takes you to that place too, right? It takes you to that moment when you first heard it. You like, why does that sound so familiar? You know, you like I heard that sound somewhere, and it takes you to that moment. And there's an emotion attached to it, and you sitting there like, oh yeah, I remember that.
I thought someday I'd get a something, and I'd be in college or something, and I'd look at person from that moment.
Oh, that's deep right there.
Yeah, I like the rain and the woman talking. That's it. That's deep.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that was nasty.
That was a cold drop right there. Yo.
I like him. He's playing with the volume rocker. I don't know if you can notice that, but he's like doing this.
Yes, sir.
It's up and down. Yeah.
I love that, man. I'm always a fan of that.
Yeah. He's going left to right, and yeah. That was a nice break. I like that break.
I'm a big fan of drops, my brethren. A big fan.
Yeah. Bring back the rain. Yeah.
You know, those rain samples like that. It's something that is it's very uncanny when it comes to these lo-fi beats, because it's very, you know, you could really, I think you had spoke about it earlier, you put yourself in a particular time and place according to what sound that you hear. If you're hearing the rain sound, if you're hearing the thunder sound, if you're hearing the wind, if you're hearing the space sound, you know, if you're hearing these old school samples that they're taking, you know, these couple of vocal samples, it puts us in that place and time. I like this one right here.
This got a hard kick.
Yes.
We gotta be on a beat machine because it's not an on time. It's just it's imperfect.
Yeah, you hear it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we gotta be on a beat machine. That's nice.
That comes from being when they don't use the quantize button. Remember we was talking about quantization?
Okay.
That's keeping it off center. I think that's very symbolic of lo-fi in general. When you think of that low fidelity sound, you know?
Yeah. I love that muffled trumpet. That's that trumpet,
man.
Muffled trumpet. Oh man.
I'm a big fan of them wood instruments, man. Or them brass instruments rather, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, the change. That's a good change. I like the change.
Hey, órale.
Oh, that was smooth. That was a smooth transition. He played that very well.
Yes, man. Oh man, such a lo-fi vibe today, man. This evening time as the sun sets behind me.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like it's a good time to transition into getting this dinner going.
Hey, you feel me? We down to the last about 2.5 minutes here, man. So we'll be concluding the show here shortly. You know, as a recap of what we ran through today for everybody just tuning in, or maybe the ones that's gonna tune in at a later point in time. This was a show all about lo-fi, a show dedicated to lo-fi as we dive back into the sound and the origin of low fidelity hip hop in general. You know, we dove back into the sound. We dove back into the crates. We started touching the early 20s and 30s and jumping back into the late 60s and 70s when we started hearing the samples of James Brown and the different doo-wop groups like the Spinners or the OJs, things of that nature. And then we started to talk about the incorporation of that sound into the 90s hip-hop scene when we started hearing a lot of groups with that analogish sound coming out of different areas. The usual samples with those wonderful jazz notes of those wood instruments like the trumpets and the flutes and the saxophones, man. And it's just such a wonderful sound. Nonetheless, man, it's been a wonderful recap of all that stuff. I was glad to dive into the origins of that myself, man, and to put you on and to put everybody else on who wasn't familiar of what lo-fi even meant, because even myself, I wasn't familiar with it for the longest time. You know, it was just a feeling. Lo-fi was a feeling to me. It wasn't really something that I comprehended. But now I think after today's show, we got a little better understanding of lo-fi and the origins of it and the feelings that are invoked from it, man. It's such a universal sound, man. It takes us away from that perfect sound that everybody's chasing nowadays, you know, that hi-fi, that high frequency where we hear everything, you know, quantized, you know, everything down to a beat, down to a certain BPM. This one gives us that more sense of being free, in a sense, that sense of nostalgia. You know, I think those two words define lo-fi in all the best ways, man. You know, nostalgia and the feeling of being free, you know? Such a deep thing, man. Lo-fi, respect. Hey, Selena, I see you, man. Enough respect. You already know, man. Hey, my brethren, it was a wonderful time hosting the show with you today, man. I had some really great conversations and some mind-opening things that came about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, my brethren. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you more in the very near future. I know I'll be back
Alright.
here every Tuesday at
That's
7
right.
p.m. And also, let
Indeed.
me make a quick PSA, man. For anybody who wants to get at me, man, check me out on Instagram at Marley, Marley King, King, LF. The letters LF at Marley King LF. Or check out my other channel, man, where I got all my great herb adventures going on. We're doing a lot of medicine, a lot of ancient remedies to heal the nation. A lot of wild edibles, a lot of wild adventurers, a lot of wild medicines going on, man. We could join up a real great spirit, man. You know, we got the creator marching behind us, man. It's something serious, man. Soldiers of Jah Army, real talk. But anyways, check us out on Instagram and my next channel. We call it at Ancient, ANCIENT _ Mystic, MYSTIC _ INC. That's Ancient _ Mystic _ INC. Got a lot of great things in tune for you, man. So, hey, keep up with the adventures. Check in next Tuesday. I'm not going to disclose what we got going on next Tuesday, but you already know if I'm going to be on the show, man, it's going to be some power coming your way, you know? Serious
Oh,
piece of righteousness, man, to open the minds of the masses. You understand? Through music and sound theory.
absolutely. All right,
Hey,
dude.
my brethren. I think that'll be it today, man. Peace and
Yep.
one love, my brethren. We
All right,
out.
man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.